So you did mention something about like interacting with a band, like, and how you've done, how you've grown in that way from being in a Herd of Watts to where you're at right now. So maybe talk a little bit about your experience now running the full electric versus when you were kind of more like a more democratic scenario in Herd of Watts. I guess is probably the right way to put it.
Yeah, I think Herd of Watts. The thing about it is like, I really resisted a lot of that as much as I think anybody naturally might, right? So there were definitely louder voices in that room sometimes, but it was a very, I feel like at least, it was pretty democratic thing overall, even to the point where like there were some big gaffes I think we made for as many cool things as we were able to do, like things that like we didn't pursue because of a democratic like consensus on it or whatever. Like there was one that will stick with me forever. There were a couple of us, like when when Naughty Professor, right? One of my like favorite Naughty Professor.
Fucking
if you're out
awesome.
there,
Love
holy
those guys.
crap!
Yeah, we saw them in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're like
they're amazing.
They're really good.
Everyone in that band, I love.
It was them opening up for Marcus
No,
King.
it was them being the backup band for Marcus.
Oh,
King.
it was.
Yeah.
So it was them at the same time.
Yeah.
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 Your whole discography is like way.
I was drunk. It was New Orleans. I mean, what do you want to do?
No, their discography is way beyond like. I mean, and it's already I think well praised, but it's way beyond even. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those guys are sick. When they were first coming up though, they were doing like the circuit,
Right.
And they came through 1904, and we had a show with them, and it was a great show. And then we were talking to them, and like maybe a couple months later, it was like, hey, we're gonna do this show in New Orleans. It's gonna be like a good venue. I don't remember exactly now where. I think it was Tipitinas.
Tipitinas. Ooh.
I'm pretty
great spot.
Pretty sure it's burned in my brain. And we were like, hey, can we come out there and maybe do a show together? They're like, yeah, let's do a show. And we were so like excited about that. That would have been like for sure the biggest show we'd ever done. And like we're like, these crazy awesome jazz players are even gonna let us on a bill with them? We're
Yeah.
Someone is in New Orleans drinking, making calls. But it was awesome, and we were gonna be able to do it. And we ended up not doing that because there was one person in the band who could not do that date, and so we were kind of like very
That makes me want to
and didn't do
punch somebody for you.
Well,
how do you not? Okay,
well,
like,
it was
whatever.
well, I'm saying though,
Were
it
they
was
getting married?
No,
No excuse.
no, yeah. So it was a democratic kind of thing though. That's what we had. I mean, it was.
Man,
it
how
was
do you
kinda,
turn down Tipitinas though? Jesus Christ.
And so we ended up just not doing it for that, right? And that was one thing like that I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I had done that gig.
Wait, was it Sean?
Just no, it was
No.
not Sean. I think he probably feels the same way. I think he probably feels the same way.
That was a joke,
I did
Sean. Sorry, he's in our band now,
Yep,
so
yep.
that was a joke.
Well, and it's funny because the guy that precipitated, I think, that decision ended up not being with the band.
Right.
In the not distant future from that. And so I always kind of looked at it. I'm like, man, not that it would have necessarily been like the pivotal shift in the world or whatever, but it would have been a great opportunity to have done something that I really wanted to do, and I think would have been good to do, for everybody involved.
Sure.
That we didn't because
Absolutely.
of democratic things. So that's like one thing that is stuck is that, hey, consensus of the band is super important.
Sure.
And everyone has to have buy-in, and everybody has to have a serious stake.
Agreed.
But sometimes, got to make calls.
Yeah,
And
100%.
we didn't do that. We were always we didn't do that always. Let me put it that way. There were times like Sean was very good at being a good voice of reason, or my brother Matthew was also a very good like voice of reason on different things. And I'm sure there were times where I was, and Jamal was as well. But I don't think we had it like oiled.
Right.
I don't think we had that thing dialed in. And one of the things that I've tried to do like with the full electric differently, even like in the way that the folks came to the band and all that kind of stuff. My initial knee-jerk reaction with that project was to be like more, not dictatorial, but much more like, hey, this is what we need to do kind of thing.
Right.
And as the band actually formed, though, it just kind of happened strangely. Is I kind of, at the same time I was getting the lessons and I was learning about that, hey, accept kind of where you're at's where you're at.
Yep.
Learn that maybe even if that's not where you want to be okay with that in order
Be
to
comfortable
grow.
with it, yes.
I took the same approach to like thinking about band visioning. And then all of a sudden, like, we got the opportunity to do Swanee Rising, and we started opening up for a couple really great folks again. And then all the band, like, cast of characters, like, settled in. And then that continued to evolve. So I've kind of...
Full electric, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I've kind of taken this, like, hold on loosely sort of thing with it. And it's not that because I didn't have expectations, it exceeded expectations. It's more like because I respected whatever is going on in the universe, and I said, hey, I'm definitely shooting for something, but I'm not forcing things. It's like I removed this friction in the tectonic plates of.
So you're
like,
a Taoist then.
I guess.
You stream down the river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's it's definitely something to be said about not fighting. Just like
Being on the plateau is the fight.
Yeah.
Just don't give in to frustration and don't give in to giving up.
right.
I don't think you know so much about the plateau that you can dismiss it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh! Like
Just
I loved
stay
what you
there.
said about that because I was like, man, I'm glad you. Because I wanted to come back to
I
that.
didn't come up with
Well,
that.
still though.
I took it from David Foster Wallace. You ever
Nice.
read
Okay.
Infinite Jest before?
No, I
It's
haven't
only
read
the
that.
longest book of all time.
Okay.
I read it. No, I'm not. Just humble brag. I read
Hey.
the longest book of all time. But he says that about tennis players, about athletes, about any sort of skill, about where you are and training and for your skill, and that's the people who like go the distance is the one that be like, I'm in a plateau now. Don't give up.
Heck
and
yeah.
Don't get frustrated.
Right.
Anyways,
No, I love that.
I wish I
mean,
came up with that, but I didn't.
Well,
Still a good point either way, though.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, David Foster Wallace, one of the best American writers of all time.